Hello, and welcome to Minivangelism, the driver's seat, where we talk about the Bible without the kids in the car. If the kids are in the car, let them go do something else, because today we are talking about pens for women.
The Bachelor?
And Danny DeVito. Let's go.
Let's go.
Hello, and welcome to Minivangelism, the driver's seat, where we talk about the Bible without the kids in the car. If the kids are in the car, you can let them go play kings and queens, because we are talking about the story of Queen Esther.
Yes. Yester.
Yester. Anna's very excited. She loves this story. She wanted to do this story. Elizabeth wanted to do this story. I did not necessarily want to do this story, but I am thrilled to be here with you to talk about this story.
Yes. And can we acknowledge the fact that Elizabeth was like, that was Pastor Rhonda's idea.
Yes. The story I did not want, my mother inceptioned.
I love her
This is my life. This is my life.
Yeah.
So, what version of this story did you inherit? Say it on three. 1, 2, 3. VeggieTales.
No. I did not see the VeggieTales version of this story until much later. Thank you very much. Because we had a VeggieTales Songs for Girls CD for my oldest daughter. And there is a song from the Esther VeggieTales episode on there that Daisy was like super obsessed with. And then we watched the VeggieTales Esther movie.
I can't stop noticing songs for girls.
Yes.
That's probably like special songs that girls should listen to, but it makes me think of like Pens for Women that came out a few years back.
Yes, very much so. But it was like there's a VeggieTales movie called Sweet Pea Beauty. Because they stopped, like, once they ran out of Bible stories, they just started doing, like, character formation stuff. Okay. And Sweet Pea Beauty is, like, she's beautiful on the inside and all this stuff. And, like, it's a whole thing. But anyway, so it's like that soundtrack that we were, like, really into. But then the Esther song was on there, too. So I inherited this story. I didn't inherit from VeggieTales. I inherited this story just by nature of being a girl, because if you're a girl raised in the church, you're going to get this story. They're going to give it to you a lot. I talked about being in like Assemblies of God Girl Scouts, which was missionettes. We talked about Esther. If you go to any women's conference, the perhaps you were created for such a time as this is the theme. And we always want to talk about Esther and how she's a power woman in the Bible.
These are the reasons why I wasn't sure if it was one we had to do.
Yes, but
it ends up sounding trite.
It does, because I think that we need to be doing more women's Bible conferences about Jael.
Yes.
The woman who drove a tent peg through a man's brain.
Yes.
But it doesn't look as good on. You can't put that in a really nice font on a cross stitch.
I have seen it cross stitched.
Of the tent peg?
Yes.
Yes.
It's really gory.
You know when my birthday is.
Yes.
So I've gotten this story a lot just because I'm a girl.
Yeah.
But I mean, I have heard it as just Esther was beautiful and obedient, and so we need to be beautiful and obedient. I have also heard it as Esther used her sexuality to get what she wanted, which I am like, heck yeah, let's do that one. Then I've heard so many different interpretations of this story throughout my 36 years on this earth. But I love it. And I think like researching it for this episode and just being able to like read it on my own and not have somebody feed it to me. I don't know. I got something different out of it this time.
Yeah.
What about you?
I think, I'm skipping to what bothers me. What bothers me about how this story gets used is it becomes about Esther and not about God. Yes. I don't mind it being about Esther, but I think it's a better story if we don't put on rose-tinted glasses about who Esther is and what she's up to.
Yeah.
Because, like, Esther and Mordecai, it's not their moral character that's on display.
No.
It's God's capacity to use opportunity. And Esther and Mordecai's bravery and determination to risk their lives for the sake of their people. Mm-hmm. All of that is good. And anything that says you're just so special, like I get a little tired of that. So that's my bias up front.
Can we talk about the Greek version of Esther?
Sure.
Okay, so there's like in certain Bibles, there's a Middle Testament called the Apocrypha.
Right.
And it's like books that were written in Greek, and they were some Protestants don't use it, Catholics do, but there is like an addition to Esther in this version. And it's almost like do you know what retconning is?
No.
So retconning is like in like
yes.
fandoms where you like go back.
I heard
and
con.
Like,
I'm with you.
Yeah, like you go and you like fix a mistake.
Yeah.
And so they like retcon the Book of Esther, whereas like the Hebrew version of Esther doesn't mention God at all. The Greek version of Esther mentions God 50 times. Oh. And she follows kosher dietary laws, and then Mordecai comes to visit her while she's in the harem, and she's like, I hate it here. Everybody's a sinner. Like, it's just
yeah,
like they're going above and beyond to like emphasize her Jewishness.
It's the tendency to do that which bothers me. So, yeah. So thank you for illustrating the point.
Yeah, and it's just this is very much like they are ethnic Jews.
Yeah.
And not necessarily religious Jews in
right.
this.
Exactly.
But she does fast.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not actually trying to take anything away from Esther. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to be a jerk.
Yeah. So as the son of a woman pastor, though, like, how did you inherit the story?
We definitely got the story. And I think it's Esther's a badass, and don't forget women can be badasses. Mm-hmm. I think that's what I inherited. And I'm here to celebrate that. I don't have any problem with that. Mm-hmm.
What else bothers you about the story?
I am not bothered by the fact that God doesn't come up. I think that that's actually a gift that's given to us in the Bible that, especially for people who we don't hear a whole lot of stories of people encountering God in such a way that God is like a character in the story. For us, it's more like our lives are more like Esther's, where we don't necessarily see the literal hand of God reaching into our lives, but it's something that we interpret after the fact or discover in the moment. Yeah. And so I like that we have a story like that, because people who say, well, I wish that God would drop a ladder down in front of me like God did for Jacob. Mm-hmm. That's not always going to happen. But it doesn't mean that God is gone. Yeah.
Well, and we have talked on this podcast before, both in the Joseph story and the Daniel story, where God really isn't mentioned all that much.
Right.
In Joseph, he doesn't show up until the very end, when Joseph is like, what you intended for evil, God intended for good. And It's like, there he is. And then in the Daniel story, it's not until the pagan king is like, maybe your God will protect you. You know what I mean? Like that.
It's almost it's almost like the Daniel story. I mean, Daniel and Esther are both exile stories. So it's almost like at this time when you were not in near the temple, where the temple is the place of God, mm-hmm. or the presence of God. There are two different versions of stories that prove God's faithfulness. In Daniel, it's Daniel's faithfulness to God, mm-hmm. which protects him and his friends. In Esther, it's God's faithfulness to Esther and Mordecai, which protects all the Jewish people. Right. So it's kind of faithfulness on both ends when you look at the two stories together. Mm-hmm. Is there anything that bothers you about the story?
Oh, yeah. The first is the harem.
Okay.
I have a problem with it.
So, like, Esther is selected
to be a part of a harem.
Right.
And
because this king he loves being king.
He loves it. And so they round up all the pretty virgins and they join this harem, which, it's his sex slaves. Like, that's what they were.
Yeah.
And he kind of pits them against one another. It's like, who's going to please me best?
Yes.
And so I just, as a woman with respect, I'm not here to kink shame. I'm not here to judge anybody, but it's just the harem thing bothers me because so people give Esther a lot of grief for joining the harem in the first place. Like I have read,
as if she had a choice.
Exactly. But
Yeah.
people are like, well, she went and they try to center Mordecai as the righteous one and not Esther because
Right.
she went to the king. But she didn't. She would have died if she went.
Yeah. If the point of the story is to look at their purity, you're not going to find it.
No. But the thing I love about it is when she goes and joins the harem, she finds favor with the eunuch that's in charge.
Yeah.
And then, so he gives her like all the best beauty treatments. And like she undergoes a year's worth of beauty treatments. Like it's a spa year.
I read that and I was like, please let that be hyperbole. It's so over the top.
But also, sign me TF up. Recently I did like 8 hours at a spa and it was the best thing that ever happened to me. 365 days. Are you kidding me? I would love it. Anyway, that's not the part of me. And then she like goes to the king for a night and it doesn't bother me as much anymore. But when you are a young woman being raised in purity culture, and then you see this hero of the Bible, this heroine of the Bible, essentially doing fantasy suite night on The Bachelor with the king in order to become queen,
Yeah.
it definitely just reframed a lot of things in my mind.
Again, it's not a morality tale.
It is not a morality tale, but also like get it with your morality tale. So that is one thing that bothers me. Sorry, I took notes.
Bring it.
It's a lot. I think also too, this thing that bothers me is justice for the queen, the original queen, Queen Vashti.
Oh, all right. Going back.
Justice for Vashti.
Yes.
Who in the beginning is like, she is banished from the kingdom because she refuses to go, like, Xerxes, he's like at this party and he's like, bring out my wife. And like some people believe that he wanted her to appear naked in front of everybody. And she's like, I'm not doing that. And so the reason he like kicks her out, he's not offended, but she said no. And so he goes to his advisors and he's like, she said no. What am I supposed to do about this? And their response is, you need to be offended because if you're not, every woman in the kingdom is going to be like ugly to her husband and they're going to think they can say no.
Yeah. And the first edict that's written is that men need to take control of their wives.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then he kicks her out. So I'm just kind of like, this sucks. Like,
Yeah.
it sucks for her that she is banished from the kingdom because she was just like, no, I'm not going to do this. But then I read a commentary that was like, she actually gets rewarded because like she didn't want to be in his presence to begin with. So like he just gives her what she wants.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think part of what we're supposed to see there is that this king is opulent and extravagant and rich and powerful and likes to have fun with it. Mm-hmm. We also get to see that the advisors are cruel. Mm-hmm. From early in the story, that it's the advisors that come up with like the meanest plans.
Yes.
And later Haman, as one of them, comes up with, you know what we should do is we should do a genocide. Mm-hmm. Like it's awful. And something about that rings true to what I think power does. It doesn't just affect the one who's in power. It also affects the ones who are right around power.
Right.
Who, like, what gets unleashed is their most villainous self. Mm-hmm. For Haman and those advisors that said, because of her disrespect, we need to punish all the women of the land.
Right.
Yeah.
That's bogus.
Yeah.
So let's form a harem.
I kind of get the picture that the king himself is just kind of a drunken party boy.
Oh, yeah.
That he's not all that evil. He's very gullible. Like he'll go with whatever the last plan was that was given to him.
Yes.
And it just so happens that Mordecai and Esther come with a plan more recent than Haman's plan. Yeah. So there's some commentary here about like the fool who's in power is susceptible to the whims of those that are around him.
Yeah.
It just so happens that God has a couple people on the inside.
Yeah. Something else that bothers me about the story, and I didn't correct you on Minivangelism.
Oh.
And because
You should have.
Well, no, because it's also in the children's Bible. We also kind of talked about it with Elizabeth. We are not given a reason why Mordecai didn't bow down to Haman. It's not in the Bible that like he didn't bow down to him because of his like convictions or anything like that.
Yeah.
That's not in there. There has been midrash written that says Haman had an idol pinned to his chest and that's why Mordecai didn't bow. No, Mordecai was just kind of being an a-hole and didn't want to bow to Haman because he didn't like Haman. And because of his actions, now all of the Jews are getting killed. So it's Mordecai causes this problem, and then he has to go to Esther and be like, you need to fix this problem.
That is a fun angle on the whole thing.
Yes. And as a woman who fixes a lot of men's problems.
Sure. I'm not ready to take a little bit of faith away from Mordecai. Partially because the story rhymes with the story of Daniel.
Yes.
And so not bowing down to the one in power, we've seen that before.
Yeah, but those are idols.
Yeah.
That they don't bow down
well,
to.
and the king. There was an idol made of the king that they wouldn't bow down to. Yeah. So Mordecai is either a little bit of a good guy or just another male problem.
Because in the story, Esther bows down to the king, my dude.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, neither of them are very Jewish.
That's true. Yeah. I don't know. I just thought that was a really interesting read that like he started it and she has to finish it.
And you have managed to read a story where the woman is the only person worthy of praise and all of the men suck.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Let me have my moment, Drew.
I'm not taking it away.
No, come at me.
No.
Do it.
I'm
still queen for a day.
I don't have a dog in that fight. So take it away. Enjoy it.
And then can we talk about the ending of the book?
Yeah.
Do you know what happens at the end of the book?
The party.
No.
The Haman part?
In between the Haman part and the party.
Mordecai gets brought to power.
On the day of reckoning.
Right.
When they were supposed
that
to
part.
be killed, instead of everybody just being cool, an edict goes out from Mordecai that's like, Jews, it's open season on all of your enemies. And they slaughter thousands of people. It gets back that they have killed thousands of people. And Esther and Mordecai are like, you know what? That was fun. Let's do it again. And they do it for a second day. I don't like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So take it away.
I mean, again, this is not a morality tale. And it's not the only time where something like that has happened.
No, we talked about those poor donkeys in Jericho.
Exactly. Yeah. So it kind of acts as a postscript to say, again, that Esther and Mordecai are not chosen because they're great. In fact, they're brought to power, and power might be corrupting them immediately. So the story is not about how to have a good life. The story is about the power of God to continue to work with sinners for the preservation of a people, so that through them eventually all the nations of the world shall be blessed. Like that's the plot, and the Bible does this almost always. Anytime we might be big fans of some character, there's something in there that problematizes them. Mm-hmm.
Except for Daniel.
I know. What a diva. The other way we've talked about it before is, again, if you're from a people who's been victimized over and over and over again, and you're writing the story of your history, kind of whether it happened or not, I can understand why you would write in revenge that happens. And part of it is, I wonder, I would have to talk, I have a friend who's a cantor, and which is a version of a rabbi, although he doesn't want me to say that, but I need to hear him define what a cantor is. It's not just a singer. It's more like a pastor, really. But I'll have to ask him about Purim specifically because there is like a pirate theme. So there's something about the way that the story ends that then they loot the whole land now that they have the victory. Same thing happens in Exodus too. Like before they leave, they're allowed to take a bunch of stuff from the Egyptians.
They don't. They're told that they can, but they don't. The Bible specifically says they killed everybody and they didn't touch the plunder.
They weren't supposed to touch the plunder, but later they find Egyptian plunder in the camp.
I'm not talking about in Exodus. I'm talking about in Esther.
Oh, okay.
They're told, go ahead and take it. And it says, like, specifically, they don't touch it.
Okay.
They're just out
They
for
just
blood.
out for blood. We don't want your stuff.
Yeah.
We want you dead.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, not a morality tale.
No.
And so many stories of the Bible defy our desire for everything to be tied up in a nice little bow at the end. Mm-hmm. The story is not about how good Mordecai and Esther are or how good the Jews are. The story is about how good God is.
Yeah.
Even to jerks. Yeah. Even to us when we get murderous. I mean, we're recording this around 9/11 of 2025, and I saw pictures of remembering people cheering when Osama bin Laden was killed. Mm-hmm. The joy that comes from vengeance is a human thing, and of course it shows up in our stories. At some level, it is something that God allows, but we don't actually really see God doing it, especially not in Jesus. Mm-hmm. Generally, if you're looking for morality, look at Jesus. You will discover you are not as moral as Jesus.
No,
and you will discover that it's good that Jesus is the one given for us. Mm-hmm. That it's good that God has a more moral character than we do. And that our lack of moral character hasn't stopped God from remaining faithful. That's not to say there aren't stories where God seems to lack moral character. There are. But one of the major themes of this podcast and of my life is that the Bible is only so for moral formation. It's not actually a story about how to be good people. It's a story about a faithful God.
Yeah. What's something you love about this story?
I love the characters. It's entertaining. It's cool. And one of the ways that I inherited the story is my mom telling the story and casting characters. Mm-hmm. And she cast Danny DeVito as Mordecai. And so forever Mordecai is Danny DeVito in my head. Just this little squirrely, squatty guy.
I need to go reread the story.
Who's like running up to Esther and like, here's what you gotta do. You know? I love that. And I'm at the point where like I love the fallibility of the characters. I love that they're quirky and imperfect. That makes it better literature and better news as well.
Yeah.
Are there other things that you've discovered in your research that you can't wait to tell everybody?
Yes. And things that I love. You got on my case in the last episode about just how much I love the literature aspect of the Bible.
Which is allowed.
And I just think like as a book, it is written so well. Yeah. And there's like comedy in it that I found myself laughing out loud in the coffee shop where I was reading this yesterday. So the character of Haman especially just looks like an idiot. Like he's the worst. Yeah. And he is
How would you cast Haman?
How would I cast Haman? Oh God. I don't know. Because honestly, now I just see Danny DeVito in all the roles. Danny DeVito as Esther in the harem.
I think Willem Dafoe could be a good Haman.
Yes. No, because I don't think he could play the comedy up well enough. I think Jason Isaacs would be a really good Haman. Do you know who that is?
You know too many entertainers. I don't know who that is.
You know Mel Gibson?
Yes.
You've seen The Patriot?
Real Haman.
Yeah. Yes. Sorry. In a major way. So Mel Gibson is who I would cast as Haman. No, you've seen The Patriot.
Yeah.
Jason Isaacs is the main bad redcoat.
He's also the best Javert that could ever play Javert. He hasn't played Javert. but I think he would make a good Javert.
I think he could too.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Him as
Yes.
Haman could work.
Yes. So
Would he be funny or would he just be terrifying?
he was pretty good in White Lotus.
Okay.
Yeah.
Didn't see it.
So yeah. So I shouldn't admit on a Christian podcast that I've watched that show. So
Yeah. You can watch all shows.
also, I think Danny McBride needs to be in this, and I don't know how. I think Danny McBride as Xerxes.
Or Danny McBride as Xerxes works.
Walton Goggins as I'm also watching Righteous Gemstones. Walton Goggins as Haman would also be amazing.
That would work. I think it would be fun to make Danny McBride one of the eunuchs. I think he could play that up pretty well.
No, Titus Burgess would be the head eunuch.
Oh, I love that.
This would be amazing. Okay, we need to Dreamcast this later. Anyway, so the way that the story is written and how they embarrassed Haman, which they keep talking about Haman's ethnicity. He's an, I don't know how to pronounce it. It's like A-G-A-G.
Agagite.
Agagite, yeah. So he's
Sounds like something a Looney Tunes character would say.
Yes.
Agagite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's a descendant of that king who was the king of the Amalekites when Saul was in power. And Amalekites are the bad ones. Like they are the sworn enemies of the Jews. So Haman being an Amalekite is a huge freaking deal, as you can see. How I wrote it in all caps and circled it a lot in my notes because I was like, this is cool. Anyway, there's a part in the story where Haman is like so pissed off at Mordecai, and he just like the sight, even after he's like, we're going to destroy all the Jews, he's still like the sight of Mordecai just makes him so angry. His friends are like, you should build a gallows, especially for him. And so he's like, you're right. So he builds this gallows to like hang Mordecai. And like as it's being constructed, the king calls Haman in and is like, hey, so Haman goes to him and the king's like, hey, if I wanted to honor somebody really special, what would I do? And Haman's like, I just had dinner with the king and his wife. They think I'm really cool. So he's like, you should do a royal proclamation and put them on a horse and have somebody announce them, like all this stuff. And then the king is like, great idea. Go get Mordecai.
Yes.
And so then Mordecai like is paraded through the streets and Haman has to like tell everybody to bow down to Mordecai.
Yes.
And then he's like, it's fine though, because I have this gallows that's especially for him. And like he looks at it. I imagine he like looks at it and like kisses it a little bit before he goes to the second dinner. Because he's like, I'm still going to get him. And then when Esther reveals the plot, the guards come in, they cover Haman with a bag, and the king, this is how it's written, the king is like, what are we going to do with him? And he sees the gallows, and he's like, put him on that. I just love how that's written. That
Yes.
It's like, he literally hangs himself in this story.
And it's kind of Monty Python-esque.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just love the literary aspect of it. I just love how it's written and just, yeah, it's great.
It's also the place where there is one Christological read in there that that Jesus' own crucifixion is him going on the gallows that's intended for us. So it's a reversal of what happens here.
You just found theology in this story.
I did. That it's where Christ's crucifixion is the foil to our propensity for revenge. Mm-hmm. That ultimately it's as if God and Jesus build a gallows for sinners, and then Jesus says, I'm going to go on to it. So it is an antidote or the foil or the opposite of revenge that ends up revealing the fullness of the heart of God. That God is not just faithful to the Jews throughout history, but that indeed God lays down his life for Jew and Gentile alike. So this is probably part of what differentiates Jews and Christians, that the Christian Jews who first encountered Jesus said, whoa, God is not only just, as in like justice, just towards us. God also like receives the justice we deserve. on behalf of the whole world. So it's a giant yes and to the God of Esther. It's, yes, I am providing for you, and also I will die in Haman's place. I will take the gallows that was first intended for Mordecai, then intended for Haman. I will take it for the sake of both of them. And I think that that's significant. And yeah, I feel a little bit antsy saying, like, talking about what differentiates Jews and Christians, because it's not that aspect of God isn't present in the Old Testament. It is, but it is the confession of Christianity about God, that Jesus is the end of vengeance, and He's the one who chooses to receive it on our behalf. So sorry to take really fun literature and make it theological, but
no, because last night I was like, you're going to have to rein me in. Because we've got 10 chapters. I am like deep in commentary. I'm also like equating this to The Bachelor. There are so many ways we could take this episode, and you were like, you've got to find the theology. And I'm like, but I can't.
It's just delicious stories.
So thank you for doing your job.
You're welcome.
I bring the humor. You bring
it
the
is
theology.
perfectly legitimate. Like I love that part of what this podcast does is help us see the Bible just as literature, and enjoy it for its literary glory as well. I mean, what I mentioned in Minivangelism too about the structure of the story, that the second half is a reversal of the first half, and there are corresponding pieces the whole way down. It's called a chiasm officially, but it's just a beautiful way for a story to be structured. And like, it's the way good novels are structured too.
Yeah.
Love that.
What are your thoughts on Esther being Girl Joseph?
I don't mind them, except, so the thing that putting them together will show you is that it will reveal that being in a harem is like being in a pit. Because what's very clear in Joseph's story is that he's a victim.
Is she not?
This is what I'm saying, is that I'm not so sure that the tradition has gone there. I think the tradition has been more likely to say, A, harems are normal. B, you're lucky if you're in one. And C, thank God one of those girls that was in there was a Jew. I think you help reveal that the harem is the pit in the story. But it's a little bit tricky because, as you noted, being in the harem, you're a sex slave and she's getting spa treatments. So it's a little bit ambiguous.
Yeah.
But I think it's a good moral word to say, no, even if you're getting spa treatments, you are still a sex slave at the end of the day. And separated from your family, all those things. Yeah. So I think the stories rhyme in that manner.
I think like Joseph just went through many different harems. You know what I mean? He goes into the pit. He goes into Potiphar's house where, he is given favor because he's hot, but that ends up not working for him. And then he's in jail. And I mean, that's what Esther is. Esther is taken from her family. She is put in the situation where she has to hide who she is, first of all. And, you know that you're there for one job and one job only. And, and you can't leave. Yeah. You can't leave or you'll die. And then she finds her way into the court.
And other difference, which may or may not matter, is that Joseph gives glory to God in the end.
Yes.
And
well, she does too in the Greek version.
In the Greek version, where we better up her character. But those might just be different points on a spectrum of God's faithfulness. Mm-hmm. Like Joseph sees God's faithfulness and names it. Mm-hmm. Esther receives God's faithfulness despite whether or not she can name it. Right. Again, it's not based on her prayers. It's not based on her faithfulness. It's based on God's fidelity to this people.
Yeah. But I do think that she does exhibit some faithfulness in her fasting. You know what I mean? And in the fact that she agrees to do it at all.
Sure.
Because once again, she could have easily said, you guys are on your own. I'm queen. She could have done that.
Yeah, in the end, she identifies with the Jews.
Yeah.
When she didn't have to.
Right. And the fact that she's fasting and praying and getting her maids to do the same thing. Like, so you've got a little bit of evangelism going on there. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. And I think too, just the characters of Joseph and Esther, where like they are specifically chosen to save God's people for no reason, really, right? Like the thing we are told about Esther in the beginning is that she's very beautiful. That's it. We see through her actions that she is also very kind, very loving, and very intelligent through this whole like banquet thing. But we are just told she's pretty. Joseph, we're not really given a reason for his like specialness either, other than the fact that he's Rachel's boy. Like his daddy likes him. That's it. He's not particularly righteous. He's kind of an arrogant SOB. You know what I mean? Like he's not particularly righteous. He's just hot and kind. Like that's it. And when they get to where they're going, they find favor. But it's like, is that favor through their own actions or is that favor through God? Like, you know what I mean? Like all of these things. And that's what sets them up to deliver the people.
How much does it bother you, though, that all of these characters are flawed?
So much. You know that.
Yeah, that's why I asked it.
It bothers
me
a lot.
Part of what we end up arguing about is I say they're not that great. And you say, yes, they are. They do this, and they do this, and they do this. And so that's the question is, does it bother you that they're so flawed and why?
I was not allowed to have flaws in the faith that I inherited. We ignored those parts of the Bible where they are flawed.
Right.
I was always taught that Esther won a beauty contest. It was when I read that she did the fantasy suite that I was like, oh, that's how she won.
Right.
You know, I have tried really hard and failed to be perfect. Because I thought that grace was something that needed to be earned.
Right.
And God's call on my life was something that needed to be earned and deserved. And so seeing people being used in the Bible that haven't tried as hard to be perfect, I don't know. It kind of bothers me a little bit.
Right. Yeah, I think that's good. And it's why I keep on harping that the Bible is not a morality tale.
Yeah.
Because I think that that's how it's been handed to us as a morality tale. That its primary purpose is for moral formation, when I actually think its primary purpose is for theological formation, which is different. It's not actually intended to tell you who you're supposed to be. It's intended to tell you who you are and who God is.
Yeah.
Irrespective of who you are. So I think you're not alone, you know. Especially because like most of childhood is aimed at moral formation.
Yeah.
But to me, that makes the Bible for children a way out of the cultural perfectionism that they're being raised in.
Yeah.
It lets grace actually be grace rather than being a price.
It makes me think of this. I think I've sent you this clip before from The Simpsons where Homer picks up the Bible and he's like, I read this whole thing and these people are awful. What a bunch of hypocrites. And then he like opens it up. He's like, except for this one guy.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just like everybody is imperfect except for Jesus. Like,
right. And there are arguments about Jesus' imperfection too, because that brings up the question of just how human was he? The tradition says he's entirely human. Mm-hmm. That probably means that he also had to learn from mistakes. Mm-hmm. And so does that put a wrench into the whole theological works?
Please don't do this to me, Drew.
But one of the early Christians said, anything that Jesus did not assume, meaning take on, has not been healed. And if that's the case, then Jesus's imperfections and mistakes are essential to the salvation of our own and the healing of our own imperfections and mistakes. So there's a book that I won't make you read because it was really hard for me to read, and I wouldn't do that to anybody. but it pushes on this humanity of Jesus that says these are a couple of stories where he looks like a flawed character, and we might actually really need that. We might really actually need Jesus to be not just immortal but fallible in order for us to have hope for the healing of our own fallibility. Fully human. What does that mean? It's why I get antsy anytime anybody says that, like, I'm not ready to say that Jesus sinned, but I have to say that Jesus learned.
Well, yeah.
And how do you learn if not by failing? You know,
the failure of others, or I don't know. You can be the son of God.
We don't have the stories
God's
of Jesus.
Brain.
We don't have the story of Jesus' adolescence. You know, so all of it is aimed at seeing just how good this news is,
right?
Particularly about the audacity of God to become one of us in order to heal all of us. That the fullness of the incarnation is to join the story of Esther and Mordecai as one of them. Mm-hmm. How one of them, all the way one of them.
Right.
And there are uncomfortable implications about that, but they're all aimed at redeeming fallibility. Not just ignoring it or skipping it. And not even just correcting it, but redeeming it. And so that's why, my own salvation depends on everybody having problems.
Yeah.
And it means that I can love Esther and want a baseball card of Esther and Mordecai in my collection, but the stats on the back are not perfect stats. Mm-mm. It's look at this character who God loves. Look at this Danny DeVito that God apparently needs.
Yeah.
You know, it's all that stuff is the good news to me.
Yeah.
But part of what I hear you experiencing is that when you encounter some of that, there's part of you that reads it as bad news, that you can't depend on them as someone to emulate.
Right.
That they're not going to be a key to your perfection.
Or it's just when you're told that these are perfect people and then you actually read it for yourself that they're not.
Which means somebody lied to you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which also sucks.
Yes.
It sucks.
Yes.
It's why Anna has spirals sometimes. And it's like, I don't understand what's going on with my faith.
Yeah. Yeah.
How are you going to talk to your kids about this story? Are you gonna make your mom do it, or your wife do it?
I might as well.
You're like, this is woman's work.
I might as well. No, I want them to see a story where the hero is a heroine. Mm-hmm. Period. And then eventually, I want them to know the story that it's complicated. Her heroinism is complicated, and she's complicated.
Hareminism.
And I want them to know that she's still a hero. Mm-hmm. That. We don't have heroes with no fatal flaws. Mm-hmm. We require them. Yeah. How about you?
I think one of the things that I read that I loved is just, and we've talked about this in other episodes, is that the fact that this story shows that you can still be Jewish you can still be faithful in the face of oppression, and when you are in exile and you're surrounded by people, even when you're in the court of a Gentile king, you know what I mean? Or when you're in the midst of unfaithfulness, you can still stay faithful and stay true to who you are. And I think that's just, once again, it's so important for our kids to be confident in their faith. And so using this as an example of just, they were confident in their faith, even when it was threatened. Yeah. Even when it could have cost them their lives, they were confident in their faith. Yeah. The stakes are not that high for us, but they can still be high.
It's reliable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the other thing is, and it's so trite, perhaps you were created for such a time as this, but I am a big fan of that phrase and that idea that you exist now for a purpose now. God put you here at this time. Why? I have used this phrase in conversations with my oldest. So my oldest, I've mentioned before, she took some time getting here. Mm-hmm. And I remember thinking, like, why can I not get pregnant? Why can I not get pregnant? Why can I not get pregnant? And somebody was like, maybe it's just not their time yet, this baby's time. And then when I did get pregnant, I have said that before to my daughter, is like, you came at just the right time. And we don't know what that means for you, but remember that you're here. And so make it count, you know, that you're here for just this time. So I know that sounds like I'm putting a lot of pressure on my kid, but whatever.
I know. I just had a thought that's unrelated. Okay. So my yes and is, like you could say, look, kids, there's like princess and queen stories in the Bible too.
Oh, yeah.
And here's Esther. And so, like, you like all these Disney princesses. But if there's a Disney princess that Esther is most like, I think it's Meg in Hercules.
Yes. Yes.
She bucks the trend of all the other princesses because she's not that sweet. She's got quite an edge.
She has a deal with the literal devil.
Yes. And because of that deal, because of the position she occupies between these characters, between the villain and the hero, she is the location of where salvation comes from in the way that the story is told in the Bible, in the Disney movie. I know that you have problems with the way the story is told in the Disney movie because
I still love it, but that soundtrack hits.
Yes. So if you're going to be a princess, daughters, consider Meg and Esther. You know, just be a badass.
Yeah.
And you don't always have to be sweet, you know. Yeah.
And don't be ashamed of how hot you are.
Go for it. Go for it. All right. Well, I think we'll call it there. Thanks, everybody, for joining us for Minivangelism in the Driver's Seat. You can reach out to us with your own thoughts, reflections, who you would cast in your dream cast of the story of Esther or any of the Bible stories. You can write to us at minivangelism@gmail.com or reach out to us on Instagram or Facebook. And we are really glad that we were able to be with you and hope that you'll join us for the next Bible Besties story.
Yeah.
All right.
We got 3 besties in our next episode.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
It's possible. All right. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Minivangelism and the Driver's Seat are hosted by Anna Burrell and Drew Colby. Theme song written by David Burrell and produced by Evan Setzer. The theme song was performed by David Burrell, Drew Colby, and Evan Setzer. Podcast, sound design, and editing done by David Burrell. Minivangelism and the Driver's Seat are a ministry of Grace United Methodist Church in Manassas, Virginia. For more information, check out umcgrace.org.
What was that?